First story. How do I deal with the guilt of leaving my wife, who is vulnerable because of a single mistake? I'm not sure what to really say here other than what's on the tin. My wife and I had been together for 6 years, and I will straight away say even if she made a mistake, she is not a bad person. While I had at times been a horrible partner, she was respectful, caring, loving and empathetic. She had been battling with undiagnosed ADHD autism, which may have been the cause for a lot of her actions and habits that, in hindsight, should have been clear as her husband to see. I will also add that while I did all of the cooking every day, and most of the cleaning, she contributed as hard as she could given her condition and struggles, and to her credit, really was improving. I also struggled to get over the past her where for 4 years I felt like her slave doing everything around the house until I broke down. This meant at times, I would throw her old bad habits at her when I was in a bad mood, which is a shit thing to do as a partner. The issue, while we had all of our ups and downs, there was a breakdown of communication of her needs from me. Apparently she felt disconnected from me and began forming a bond with a guy she met online on the MMO game we played together. Over the next 4 weeks, she would be up until 8 a.m. in the morning chatting with him, and avoiding topics when I asked what on earth they would be talking about for that long. The red flags in my own head started shining the next day after I mentioned I wasn't comfortable. When she stopped talking to him, the next day she was irritable, anxious, angry, and I had thought there was something more critical happening like an anxiety attack, or if I had said something wrong. She then let slip that when she had to stop talking to her friend, that they had something special, and to me that was enough to mark that it wasn't just a friendship anymore. However, she insists it was. This is where I need to know if I fucked up royally. We had agreed at the start of our relationship and constantly throughout it that an emotional affair was just as bad, if not worse than a physical affair, because it was the heart on the line. Because of that wording, over the next few weeks, as hard as I tried, I couldn't forgive her. I had tried constantly to try and get through it, but then seeing so many Reddit posts on relationships that seemed to show once an EA happens it's possible again, I got jaded, and felt that the promise of marriage wasn't worth it if they could get, in their words, just a crush on a friend in such a short period of time. If I had not asked them to stop, how much further than a crush would it go if they already had something special? I'm going to say this again, aside from this, she has been an ideal partner. There are a few habits she formed because I spoiled her too much, and with her undiagnosed ADHD, I feel this was a losing battle, and I can't find it in me to stay around because of the broken promise. It was one night this week, I couldn't take it anymore, and I've given her 1 week and I'm moving out. I've already made sure the rent is paid a good month and a half ahead so she can focus on herself and costs before rent is due. She earns as much as I do, which is enough to pay for rent and groceries. I made sure all the utilities are paid up in advance before swapping it to her name. I've filled the freezer with frozen food she would like, as I won't be around to cook for her, and put her favorite juices in the fridge because she isn't eating or drinking. I can't stop wanting to look after her. She made a mistake and caught some feelings for another man. Aside from that, she was a good person. But I can't do this, and I believe she deserves a man with better strength. She is absolutely broken and crying constantly, and I'm fucking broken and crying constantly as well. How the fuck do I live without someone who gave a piece of their emotions to another man and is clearly regretting it? Should I have actually just ignored our boundaries? 6 years, amazing partner with some minor flaws due to an undiagnosed condition and bad habits from me spoiling them. Improved and did more things that meant the world to me. She felt alone, chatted with another guy, had something special and said it was just a crush. We had already agreed an emotional affair is game over for the marriage. I've prepared to move to another state in a week with making sure she is prepared and has what she needs as far as possible. We're both fucked emotionally, and she wants me to fight for the marriage, which hasn't even been longer than 1 year. I can't because it was a rule we both said was clear and she should have communicated with me. Also, no, I am not splitting assets. I've signed the car over to her and she can keep all the savings. I just needed enough to put a bond down for a single studio in another state, where I moved from to be with her. She has been a great person, and I will want her to have as much support as she can. Mistake or not, she's still someone I loved so deeply. But that solid rule was set in place as the end of a relationship. That's it, and I can't accept moving the goalpost. I fucking miss her already and I haven't left yet, and I can't stop crying. I still think she was the one who deserved a lot better. I should have seriously been more critical of her habits and seeing there was something there when she hinted about ADHD, but that was my negligence. I will do my best to try and heal myself, even if it means being alone. It's something I need to do in order to look back and see what I could have done better, so if I ever do even consider moving on, which I strongly doubt I will, nobody will have to deal with that ignorant side of me. That does make more sense, and I can see why she wanted me to give her a bit more structure and agency instead of using scaffolding, awesome term by the way, and wearing myself down. That's a really good way of looking at it. Though I understand from her perspective it may not have been cheating and she just felt lonely. However, that is a great way to look at it. I was far from the best husband I could have been for her. She deserved better, and I hope she finds an amazing man to look after her. I'll be taking these lessons into account and improving on myself, even if that hurts seeing what I could have been doing better from the start. Love is love, mate. Even if someone's done wrong, if they were a good person who made a shit decision, and they meant something to me, I am going to at least feel something. That was 6 years, for better or worse, with someone I love, and it's going to suck. She did improve with cleaning, and even started doing laundry and other housework to try and improve. The gaming all night is fine. I would assume you also would partake in something you enjoy for hours. Just not the chatting to someone else and catching feelings. Thank you so much. Update. Update on progress since leaving my wife. Not sure how to do an update, but might as well. So in my previous post at this sub, I mentioned how hard it was to leave my wife. It's been just near a week since I left and it's been fucking rough. Managed to afford a bed and internet to keep working. My workplace has been amazing at relocating me without hassle. But everything reminds me of my wife. I keep hearing and seeing people talk about how marriage counseling works even if my wife had an emotional affair. And in my previous post a few people had called me out as needing to grow some balls and work on the marriage rather than cut and move on if a rule was broken. Since then her family has called and reached out to me, saying it's important to talk things out. Of course I did not say why I left. I'd rather her family had her opinions and views so they can support her. My difficulty is that now I am going through individual therapy and it's hurting a lot. My friends from Melbourne are happy to see me and it's clear I will have a good support network. But I need to know what I should be doing next. I want to do marriage counseling at the least just to see if there's anything. Or if it is just a case of putting in 6 years of love and laughter with a great person that needs to end. I'd rather it didn't, and I wanted so badly for it to work, but if it's a rule, why should it be bent and shaped for her, but not okay for me? If I had an emotional affair, she would be absolutely livid given her insecurities, and she had said it was a marriage breaker. Is having something special with a crush actually an emotional affair, or am I just still hung up on it? It will be her birthday tomorrow, and I'm so absolutely torn on whether to call her and wish her a happy birthday even if she did wrong, or to leave it. Also on my previous post I mentioned she can keep all the savings in the car. I can confirm she has taken it all and the car was signed off yesterday. I'm happy she has a good start, even if I'm suffering. Should I consider this marriage therapy stuff, or continue to get the help and ground I need before trying to repair something that is already a divide? Sorry for the vent, but living in an empty-ass studio apartment, alone with a bed and a modem with nothing else to do is a serious killer for the mind. I might just go hang with friends more to keep my head on straight. Second story. Fiancé was drunk at the party, so me, 35M, and my fiancé 35F, have only been together for 6 years. We recently went to a house party together this past Saturday, where we all drank liquor and got too drunk. There me and 3 of my guy friends, all above the age of 36, and her best friend, 33F. Pretty much everyone but 3 of my guy friends got blacked out drunk, and 2 of my guy friends go and wake up my fiancée and her best friend. They're sleeping on the couch and grabbed their hand and took into a bedroom. Almost all the people's confirmed seeing or hearing this, although they're really drunk. After they were alone in the room for who knows how long, my other friend goes inside too. Later on, my booze cleared up a bit. I go to check up on them, and I see them took turns on my fiancée and her best friend. My fiancé smiling with one of my guy friends. My booze call me again. I got headache and passed out. Nearly morning, I sobered up. Also checks up later and sees my fiancée and her friend sleeping with their panties on the ground. My friends who took her in there told me right away it was all consensual, as she willingly went along with them, and that the girls were down to have sex. One of my guy friends, he told me they didn't use protection, and he did take a video of their sessions. All my fiancé remembers is being in the room, and my friend pulling the sheets off of her, while she keeps pulling them back up, saying no over 10 times, and him grabbing her legs and thighs, then started to fingering her. And him being mad, saying, "What the duck, after you showed me your kitty, you won't let me duck." That's literally all she remembers. I do remember seeing her bawling her eyes out in the morning when we were going to leave because my friend kept creeping her out, and she just remembers him groping her. I only just empathized with her, as I understand she was way too drunk, all of us were, to even be giving informed consent, even though her drunken self maybe might have initiated or went along with his advances. But a part of me is still very hurt that she went into the room with him anyway, and I am finding all the justifications to why it was wrong, but it's still bothering me. There's literally no one else I can talk to about this and would like some outside perspective. This would be considered sexual assault, right? And for being such a new relationship, I feel this is too much stress. I don't know what to do, but I just want her to be good. I also find it's hard for me to get intimate with her after seeing the videos of my friends took turns with her. What do I do? I know if she did not consent, then it's sexual assault and a police report should be filed. If she does not, they could it actually have been consensual? And my so-called friend, what did I do with them? They know it's my fiancé and has sex with her. I met up with them once to hear them out and make him delete those videos fully. I didn't try to fight him, as I'm in the process of joining my local PD and don't want to disrupt that, as it's the most important thing to me. One of my friends said he did only have sex with her twice, as he couldn't get hard again due to the alcohol, and do take some videos. Another friend, he told me he woke her up and asked to duck. She said she's with me, but then he replied he's asleep, he doesn't have to know. She then stood up and then he led her to the room, according to him, but she has no recollection of that. I only called them friend for story purposes, and they was my friend until that night, and I believe they are in the wrong and am taking my fiancé's side. It's disgusting behavior, but I'm just trying to clear out my insecurities that are affecting me with this woke ordeal. My fiancée, she didn't know about the videos, but once I showed her, she started bawling and got nauseous. She is saying this is something she'll have to deal with for the rest of her life, and saying how it sucks to be a woman, and that she must be super careful. But she hasn't expressed legal concerns yet, as she just started her new job this past Monday, and doesn't want to FCK it up at work yet. Now she just wants to move on, and not let this affect her too much, but is sad and traumatized about it. I told her I understand she and all of us were too drunk, but the fact my friends, they told me she went along with them hurts, but since she was drunk after, I won't hold it against her, though I low-key do. I myself just want her to be good, but I don't think I'll be able to commit into this relationship. I am aiming towards being a supportive friend ADP. I can't even get intimate with her now as those pictures disgust me and my insecurities and the unknowns constantly get at me. I haven't told her how I'm feeling yet, so she believes we're working through this and that we both need time to recover. But I'm thinking about leaving her and offering my support as a friend and not a fiancé. But I'll make sure to say it's not all her fault and I am to blame as well for this. Thank you. Third story. I, 25M, left girlfriend, 32F, of 4 year. On the 29th of June, we were celebrating the 4th of July, and I saw a name on Snapchat that I did not recognize on her phone. Something about the speed of his reply and the look of panic on her face made me uncomfortable, and I went to investigate. I clicked on his reply and she freaked out. I have seen her get this defensive before. Normally I do not have issues with her talking to other people and encourage her to have friends. We do have very strong boundaries in our relationship. I do not interact with people that like me romantically. Prevents a lot of problems at the source. Turns out it was a co-worker that had made it known that he liked her. My issue is not her talking to someone who might like her. She is attractive. My issue was the lack of communication and respect about not informing me about this and seeing if I was comfortable with her being in contact with him. This is something that I have done for her sake in the past. An agreed upon boundary. This did make me angry. She also admitted that she was having doubts in her relationship, that I would just get up and leave her. Upon asking where this came from, she could not tell me. I asked her to block him so we could further talk about this, and I needed an act of good faith to know that nothing was truly going on. She would not. She fought about keeping him, and at that time I'd choose to pack her stuff up and send her home. Celebration ruined. Upon thinking and processing the events, I realized that this may be a really bad response to trauma. Her mother abandoned her the last year and took everything, leaving her and her father desolate. They had spent the last year getting everything back in order. I was with her through all of that, and I thought what we had was more important than being friends with a scumbag. I took myself and personal feelings out the equation and we talked about it. She wanted more attention from me and I gave it to her. I requested that she block him. About a month later, turns out she did not block him. Upon confronting her, she gave a bad excuse about not knowing how to block people. I was not buying this, having been lied to. I took the next day off of work to talk to her, giving her one more chance before breaking it off. I get there and she is drinking a ton of cranberry juice. She has a UTI. The odd thing is that AP had just got a girlfriend that week as well. All evidence pointed to an affair. During our talks throughout the whole issue, when I put her in my shoes and asked how she would feel if I was doing what she was doing, she would admit to not liking it and wanting to leave. The people at her job suddenly could not make eye contact with me. They all had looks of guilt. I broke with her that day, dropped off all her stuff. Since I did not trust her to tell the truth, I went online and aired everything out. It was the closest thing to being malicious that I was during our 1 year together. I have no hard evidence, but her profile went from single to relationship within a month. I unblocked everyone once the bridge was burned. She could have never changed it for all I know, but it's not my business what she does. I work somewhere else, outside of town. They work near where I live though. When I brought it up, she was defensive about keeping him as a friend and cried when I left. Her father was mad that I aired everything out but would not contest anything said, although she seemed more mad than sad. Fourth story. I cheated with Yoni Masters. I don't really know why I'm sharing here. I don't expect any great advice or sympathy at all. I have just come out of a 22 years relationship with my first love. I met him at 21 and now I'm 44 and he's same age. It wasn't his first relationship. That was with a girl from his school, but it was his first with a girl. How to describe our relationship? Honestly, it was so special, humble and innocent. When we were together, we could do pretty much anything and just be happy in each other's company. However, I was not a good communicator. I did not know how to love, to be honest, and he reflected that back with coldness when we fought. I lied, big and small, too many times with him. I treated him so well, but in moments so badly as well. I was just so clueless about what it meant to be with something. That's not an excuse, obviously. It just is what it is. In June, after a tough final year ended of his audit work and my work-life balance being awful, we could see the end was near. We decided to break up and to have a last day together where we did some final fun adventures, eat good food, had good sex. The morning after, we saw each other for the final time. A couple of days later, in a nutshell, he finds out that I cheated on him a few months back with two of Misor. I had cheated on him multiple times without his knowledge. Everything you are thinking, what a piece of shit, XYZ, I know. They were bad choices I made, but what bugs me is that I don't know why I did them. I have also fallen into a bit of an addiction trap, having won, but ultimately lost, lots of money on gambling in the time all this cheating was happening. He always had way too much work going on, as I mentioned, and we were long distance during this time. I finally realized that I have a tons of stress I got to relieve, so I'm seeking Misor. The thing is, the reasons why I betrayed him probably aren't his fault. My addiction, communication skills likely come from my upbringing and exposure to things, but they manifested themselves with him. I know that me and his are most likely dead romantically and that he's not coming back. No one is perfect. He had his faults. But this man showed me nothing but love and care, and I let him down. For a cheap shag. I hate what I did. In a way, I'm glad he found out, because it's really taught me a big life lesson that actions have consequences. One of the things he said to me when he found out, "You love me, but you don't respect me." I think he's right. I've been going mad now, doubting whether I ever really loved him. I'm sure I did, but it's driving me mad. How could I do this if I loved him? I just feel so sad, hopeless and angry at the way things have turned out. I just know that I'll see him again at some point in my life. I know that I have a long path ahead of me before that happens, and that it'll be a while. I don't know. It's shit to know that one has the power to really hurt someone else. I did it, and never want to do it again. He is a qualified accountant, and he's got such a unique character when it comes to life. Thing is, I don't think his forgiveness is the problem. I believe his heart is good enough to forgive me. I just don't know what the other side looks like and how long I will have to wait. Before he found out, he said he was really hopeful about us and our future prospects. Those are now dead. As much as I miss him, I need to fix my life. I don't know how I ended up here, 20 grand in debt because of gambling and a dirty cunt of a girlfriend. I wasn't this person. The last thing he said to me was, "You better make this worth it." Here I am, trying to make it worth it. Thanks for listening.